All right, with that, let's move on. At least 14 newborn babies were killed in a devastating fire at a hospital in Islamabad. The Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences, or PIMS, is the biggest state-run hospital in Pakistan's capital. The hospital recently made news after authorities took jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan to this very hospital for a medical checkup last week. The dawn fire broke out on the third floor of the Mother and Child Health Ward at the Premier Public Hospital. Investigators said the fire was started by a faulty air conditioning unit which exploded inside the nursery where newborn infants under intensive care were sleeping. The incident is among the deadliest hospital fires in recent years in the country, where government health care is subsidized but facilities are under-resourced and overburdened. Watchdogs have frequently criticized state-run facilities as mismanaged.
At around 5:45 or 6 in the morning, we heard about 10 to 15 very loud explosions. We were sleeping outside in the hospital's porch. At first, I thought perhaps they were firing a ceremonial salute for Rabi al-Awwal, because they sometimes fire cannon salutes, so I assumed that was what the sound was. About 10 minutes later, my brother-in-law went upstairs and called us from there, saying that the ward upstairs was on fire. We immediately ran upstairs. We didn't even have shoes on. When we reached upstairs, we couldn't get as far as the ward because it was completely filled with smoke. We couldn't see anything ahead, and it was becoming difficult to breathe.
19 people, including 7 children, were rescued. Witnesses described chaotic and harrowing scenes, including intense smoke and broken glass. A slow response from the emergency services and guards reportedly preventing them from leaving the building. Eyewitnesses recounted the horror as coffins were being carried out into ambulances at the hospital mortuary. Authorities insist there was no delay in help arriving for the terrified parents and infants inside, but parents who lost their days-old babies in this fire have a different story to tell. They allege their desperate cries for help took several hours to arrive.
What did they go to get downstairs, leaving the children alone? The door of NICU was locked. I do not believe this. Give me my child back.
Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has meanwhile ordered a probe and said that those responsible should be identified and that the strictest possible action should be taken. He sacked Health Secretary Aslam Ghori, the country's top civil servant for the department.
Immediately after this rescue operation, all the evidence based on which, in the coming days, the inquiry team will investigate and reach a conclusion, and the process of punishment and accountability will then begin, and alongside that, whatever changes are required in planning to prevent such incidents in the future.
An initial probe by the fire department found that fire and life safety arrangements were inadequate, compromised, and they were not as per standard requirements. The probe found that emergency exits and access routes were locked from outside. Security staff created hindrances to the initial response of the fire crews. Inadequate crowd management was also observed at the incident site. The UN Children's Agency, UNICEF, meanwhile said it was deeply saddened by the deaths and called for an urgent review and strengthening of fire prevention and safety standards across health facilities. Fires in large buildings are frequent in Pakistan, often due to poor safety laws and buildings codes as well as lax enforcement. In January this year, more than 65 people were killed in a shopping centre fire in the port city of Karachi. At least 11 people were killed in another shopping mall fire in Karachi in 2023. In 2012, at least 250 labourers died at a garment factory in Karachi.